The latest on Nick Foles, the Eagles, well, they picked up his mutual option. Foles declined his. Now he's a pending free agent, so is a trade the next step for Philadelphia? In the same state, meanwhile, Antonio Brown continues to find a way to tank his trade value. He's now being investigated for a domestic dispute. We've got the details on that coming up, along with could Adrian Peterson remain with the Washington Redskins, set to be a free agent, but those two sides have had some communication about a contract extension. We break all that down and more coming up here on NFL Daily. Hello friends, Tom Downey here for NFL Daily. Let's dive into those latest NFL rumors and news, starting off with Nick Foles. Now the Eagles, of course, they picked up their end of the $20 million mutual option between Foles and the Eagles, and Foles, which in a move that surprised absolutely nobody, declined his, paying back $2 million to do so. Now Philadelphia can still use the franchise tag and then attempt a trade of Nick Foles, and that does seem to be their plan here. Now, the Eagles reportedly want a third-round pick back in exchange, which I think makes some sense. That's the likely comp pick the Eagles would, in theory, get if they're unable to trade Nick Foles and he just leaves in normal free agency. Now, the Eagles don't, of course, want Foles to end up with the Giants or the Redskins. That makes some sense there. They could be free agency options, but maybe don't make the most sense in the end for a trade option. And I would expect the Eagles would only apply the franchise tag for Nick Foles in the event that they have a deal worked out before, and they do have plenty of time between February 19th and March 5th. If their trade happens, I think it's going to come in that type of window for Foles and the Eagles. Now, in terms of possible destinations, here's our own Mitchell Renz's top 5, based more on including free agency, because obviously Redskins, Giants aren't ideal trade fits. But in the end, I think Jacksonville is where Nick Foles ends up. It almost makes too much sense, at least for me. John DeFilippo, the former Eagles quarterback coach, is now there in Jacksonville as the OC. And as you all know, the Jags desperately need a quarterback to replace the wildly ineffective Blake Bortles. But I ask you, where will Nick Foles play in 2019? Let us know in the comments section. I'm picking Jacksonville. Feel free to throw out other teams out there, even though it's not on that initial top 5 list. Now we'll stick in the NFC East here to talk about Adrian Peterson and how he and the Redskins have had some preliminary talks about re-signing. Now Peterson is going to turn 34 years old, but played quite well for the Redskins, over 1,000 yards on the ground. But I make note here about the Redskins. Remember, their ideal number 1 back is still not Adrian Peterson. That was never the plan. It was supposed to be Darius Geis, and Geis is now set to return from injury. But Peterson, at minimum, that's a nice little fallback option. Again, 1,000 yards on the ground. Proved he can indeed still play at a high level in the NFL. Now, although Peterson is a free agent, Darius Geis remains your number 1 back. You're going to feature Chris Thompson heavily, so maybe in all likelihood, if Geis is healthy, Thompson comes back and is able to still be that third down back role, maybe Peterson actually ends up being your third down back, or your third back, and that's the issue. In most cases, number 3 backs help on special teams. It's not really Adrian Peterson's MO. Remember, Samaje Perine also on the roster. Byron Marshall, Rob Kelly, they are restricted free agents as well. So the Redskins overall, they've got some solid depth at the running back spot. Now, if you guys like what we're doing, go subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Get us to 100K subscribers, and we'll do something fun for you guys. So go subscribe, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button. Simple and easy for you. Over now to Antonio Brown, where he is once again in trouble. I've never seen a player quite successfully tank his own trade value like Antonio Brown is right now. Now, he was investigated for what was called a domestic dispute by South Florida police. They investigated. Antonio Brown was not arrested. Now, according to the police incident report, the victim in this case is actually the mother of Antonio Brown's daughter, which again is very much worth mentioning here. So here's kind of what happened based on that police report between Antonio Brown and the alleged victim in this case. The mother of Brown's daughter drops her off at Antonio Brown's house, and she wants to be paid for his haircut there. So that's step number 1 there. Now, Brown had initially closed the door and then reopens it to have a conversation with the victim here. She then blocks the door from being closed. Brown pushes her down to close the door. And then she leaves with the daughter after yelling at the daughter previously to get the money from Brown's room, all kinds of stuff there. And this is where it gets important in terms of potential police discipline and, of course, NFL discipline as well, is that she never filed a victim affidavit, never filed anything along those lines really to press charges forward there. Among the other notes there is that the incident, or that the complaint happened the day after the incident itself, and also that there really doesn't seem to be any real desire to push charges there on behalf of the alleged victim in this case. So Antonio Brown continuing to find ways to get himself into trouble and tank his trade value in the process. And of course, Antonio Brown's lawyer here says the allegations are baseless and false. So the NFL will investigate. This is definitely worth monitoring, but as of right now, I don't think there's anything too severe to drastically follow in terms of, oh my God, he's going to get a 6-game suspension. But with the NFL, you never really know. And back to the trade value, we know Antonio Brown is on the block with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his value continues to go down repeatedly. So you're an NFL team, the Niners, the Colts, whatever, the Jets, whatever team you are, what would you give up in a trade for Antonio Brown? I thought initially this was going to be like a first-round pick because he's immensely talented. $17 million is about the right price tag for a guy of Antonio Brown's caliber. And then every time Antonio Brown's name gets in the headlines, his value only goes down. Now you've got a potential off-the-field incident and maybe suspension to deal with. Antonio Brown's value plummets pretty much every single day with the way things are currently trending. Today's show brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code LIVE120 when you sign up and deposit using MasterCard or Bitcoin. That'll get you a 120% deposit bonus. But if you guys use Bitcoin instead of the MasterCard option, that bonus becomes 150%. It's a fantastic deal and will help you. Just DM us on Twitter @ChatSports. If you guys don't quite have a great feel for Bitcoin, we'll help you guys out and make sure you guys get hooked up with the extra bonus money to bet with on BetDSI. Plenty of NFL futures props up there, and of course basketball and soon to be baseball as well to bet on in terms of actual games. Let's talk more trade then. The New York Jets and Leonard Williams. Remember, ESPN had previously reported the Jets could consider trading Williams for like a second-round pick. And again, Jets don't have one because of the Sam Darnold trade. Meanwhile, the New York Daily News reports the Jets have no plans to trade him because, quote, it would be stupid, per one Jet source. Now, I think in a bubble, that does make sense, and I agree that unless the Jets get a new defensive lineman, it doesn't make sense to trade him away. I think it'll be a good fit for Greg Williams' new 4-3 scheme. But if, let's say, the Jets miss out on Nick Bosa, Josh Allen with the first 2 picks, they can't trade down, and they end up taking a guy like Quinnen Williams, another 4-3 defensive tackle, maybe that's when it makes sense to trade away Leonard and get that second-round pick back. Now, the Jets going to move to a 4-3 scheme under Greg Williams. I think Leonard's going to be a good fit in that defensive tackle role. Henry Anderson, I don't think comes back. You clearly need edge rushers as well. Nathan Shepard, Fatukasi, also a good fit there. Mike Pennell. So you have depth on the interior. If the Jets get a big impact defensive tackle, which I don't know if it actually happens, then I think you see Williams being shopped, but only as a draft day trade. I don't think they're going to trade him away right now because they have plenty of money and they need impact defensive players up front. Now, let's get to the dumbest trade rumor you'll hear all offseason long. Headline from Bleacher Report: Rams must explore trading Todd Gurley. So here's the thing about this. That's stupid. That's a really, really dumb idea. Even if you want to make note of how the Rams maybe didn't use Todd Gurley all that well in the playoffs, if you want to say, hey, you know, you probably overpaid for a running back, you can make that argument. I disagree with it, but I understand where you're coming from. Here's why it's stupid. The money side of it. Todd Gurley has a pretty significant dead cap hit of $16.8 million this year. His normal cap hit is $9.2. Here's what that means. If the Rams trade Todd Gurley today, tomorrow, anytime before June 1st, they eat an extra $7.6 million on their salary cap in 2019. So you're paying really 2 halfback price tags to not have one on your roster. Now you can do it after June 1st and you spread the dead money out across 2 years and you save $5 million. That still isn't a very good idea. The way the contract is structured, it doesn't make any sense to trade away Todd Gurley. It doesn't make you better. It makes you worse. And lose cap space right now. That's a bad idea. Now, if you want to make the argument the Rams need to use Todd Gurley better, I am all there for it. I question if he was truly healthy in the playoffs. Maybe that's why the numbers were down. Maybe Sean McVay outthought himself. I don't really know what it was there. But trading Todd Gurley is not the answer. It doesn't make sense right now. The money makes it a complete non-starter there. This is an idea. Let's not research it at all. So should the Rams consider trading Todd Gurley? I think I made my argument fairly clear there. Why for yes and for no. If you want to come back in like 2-3 years or something, we can have that discussion then when it becomes more movable as an actual contract. But right now, it does not make sense for the Rams to consider moving Todd Gurley. Go focus on a way to actually improve the usage of Todd Gurley, not just trading him away to save money to get other players. That's not how any of this actually works. To the other team that played in the Super Bowl, the one that actually won, the Patriots. Greg Schiano set to be the team's new defensive coordinator. The Ohio State defense didn't actually fare that well in 2018, but Bill Belichick has long liked Greg Schiano. And welcome to NFL 2019, where failing upward is the name of the game for coaches. Schiano, poor results as Ohio State's DC, gets promoted to an NFL DC. Cliff Kingsbury, fired by his alma mater as a head coach, gets hired by the Arizona Cardinals. We'll see how it ends up working. In the end, though, I think he'll be fine. The Patriots, and as long as Bill's there, he'll have a solid defense. If you guys like what I'm wearing, it's a Mizzen and Main shirt. It makes me just passable enough to actually be on air, so imagine what it could do for you. Go check them out. Comfortable.af is the site, and you guys are not going to find a more comfortable dress shirt or any shirt than a Mizzen and Main one. Some team items here around. First up, the Atlanta Falcons. They have made some cuts. Cornerback Robert Alford, he's out. Kicker Matt Bryant, he's also out. These moves combined save just over $10.5 million in cap space. Both of these players will end up drawing interest. Alford will have plenty of interest as a number 2 through number 4 corner, somewhere in that range. Matt Bryant might be 43 years old, but he'll get a chance as a kicker because there is a dearth of actual reliable kickers out there in the NFL right now. Age and injury, plus of course contracts for him. Big reason why he was cut for Alford. He was due $8.5 million, and the Falcons saved $7.9. Just kind of made sense there. Now, as for replacing Robert Alford, next man up is Isaiah Oliver, the second-round pick out of Colorado last year by the Falcons. He'll be there with Desmond Trufant. And the big boost for Atlanta in the secondary comes from the return from injuries in Keanu Neal and also Ricardo Allen. DeMonte Casey played really well as a safety, I thought, this year. He could move back down to nickel and take over that role from Brian Poole as well. But in terms of Alford, it's Isaiah Oliver who's going to get the chance here to become the number 2 corner for Atlanta. That's why they took him, after all, last year in the NFL draft. One last rumor. Are the Oakland Raiders still homeless? Well, it seems like Oracle Park isn't an option anymore for Oakland. There had been the report that they were going to go play their games there, which I still partially think was leaked by the Raiders to try and force everyone's hands, and it backfired tremendously. The Niners and others, including the NFL, weren't really on board with this. There's some buzz that there was some behind-the-scenes opposition from the Golden State Warriors, who didn't want to deal with the Oakland playing in the actual downtown San Francisco area either. NFL's not going to greenlight. The Niners were going to block them because that's how they can do it, even though, as funny as it sounds, O.co, the Raiders stadium in Oakland, is actually closer to Levi Stadium than Oracle Park, aka formerly AT&T Park in downtown San Francisco, but that's how things end up working out. So now we don't really know where the Oakland Raiders are going to play, or I should say the TBD Raiders are going to play. Maybe they can go play in Levi Stadium, the Niners are open to that move as well. Or maybe they end up and play back in O.co and stay in Oakland there for one more year, which would give a nice little swan song type leaving there for Oakland. But let me know where you think the Raiders will, or heck, even where they should play in 2019. I'm down to keep them in Oakland, but they're going to have to, I think, kiss and make up a little bit with some of the power brokers there, given that there's currently a lawsuit against the Raiders for trying to leave Oakland.